Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, joined by attorney Cesar Gavidia, and we're going to talk about one of Cesar's disability success stories, which was a disability insurance appeal that he won against Prudential Insurance Company. And Cesar, in this video, I want to talk about the background of your case, the issues that came up that you had to deal with, what your strategy was in presenting the appeal, and then some tips that we can provide for people who have had claims denied by Prudential, and also people who are worried about having their claims denied by Prudential so that they could be in the best position to avoid a denial. So getting into it, what was the background and history of your particular case with Prudential?
So Greg, I'd actually probably call it a partial success story, but I think it's still important to talk about because this is something that can really happen to pretty much anybody out there that's suffering from physical conditions as well as possibly some comorbid or secondary mental or psychological conditions. But in this particular case, our client he worked as an online chat representative for a company. And he had actually a pretty complex medical history dating back some years. And he'd worked with some of these complications. He was diagnosed with these pretty rare genetic disorders that lead to various tumors and cancers and things. And the treatment procedure for the condition he has, which is called Men1, is a pretty extensive and invasive type of procedure. It's called the Whipple's procedure, and it's basically when they go in surgically and they remove your pancreas, part of your pancreas, they remove your bile duct, they remove your gallbladder, and they tie all these things back in together so that your body can basically digest food and try to function in some proper way. And it's not usually a very good prognosis. It's usually a 5-year survival rate for people that have that type of procedure done. And besides that, he had cubital tunnel syndrome. He had this carcinoid syndrome. He had various endocrine problems because of that MEN1 diagnosis. So obviously you look at this case and it's volumes and volumes and volumes of medical records and things, thousands and thousands of pages. And he was working up to about 2019 when he started really having some problems in his abdomen, started having some real pain in his abdomen region where they actually had to put in a mesh due to an abdominal hernia from kind of all of the various things he's had done there. And that got infected. He got MRSA. He had to go to the hospital, had a surgery to clear out the MRSA and to remove the mesh. I mean, so you go on and on with this particular person's medical issues.
This person was denied?
This person was denied. So they were approved for a few months by Prudential.
Okay.
And then after about 4 or 5 months.
Wait, initially they approved it for 4 months.
Yes.
The medical history you're talking about, and anyone who's watching this video is like, you're kidding me. How could this person even focus or concentrate at work?
Well, I'll tell you what they do. They look at the history and they use the fact that you're motivated, you don't want to just sit down and do nothing, that you're like almost everyone else out there who wants to find some sense of identity and value and work hard and be able to have some sense of dignity about that. And they basically ask, well, if you managed to function all of this time with some these complications, why couldn't you continue to do that?
So damned if you do, damned if you don't. This person worked through his issues for 2 years and got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore.
Exactly. And so they paid him for about 4 months, and after they terminated him, they basically said, you could appeal our decision. You could come back and appeal. And he did it actually on his own. Prudential's first level of appeal is a mandatory one, and that's the one he went ahead and did on his own. And they ended up denying it again. I reviewed the appeal denial that they provided to him, and essentially what they did at this point was they went back and got this occupational medicine doctor. And if you know anything about occupational medicine, basically these are doctors who specialize in work-related injuries and illnesses, so kind of things that stem from the workplace. And clearly a genetic or hereditary condition that has all of these post-surgical complications and morbidity complications isn't one of those things. But that's who they had conduct their review. And it was a pretty lengthy denial letter, which if you'd read through it, you'd think they're going to approve him at the end of this letter. How could they deny him at the end of this letter? But that's exactly what they did. The doctor basically did this review of all these records and came back and says, even despite all these things, we think he could still work in a light or sedentary job or occupation. That's when he came to us, and we reviewed this, and I knew exactly that what we needed to do in terms of how to address the appeal and how to address these massive problems in the record review that they'd conducted. Once we kind of focused in on also, his particular occupational duties, and then just kind of the extent of the limitations, which weren't really particularly highlighted by him in his initial appeal that he submitted, Prudential came back and says, well, we're going to approve him, but we're going to approve him on a mental health related issue. In the meantime, we didn't even appeal really on any mental health related issues.
And in the whole couple minutes you were explaining all of his different medical conditions, you never once said anything about a mental health condition, which would be depression, anxiety, bipolar, all types of things like that.
Right. So essentially what they've done is gone back through the records. They've found, there's who wouldn't, with all of these things, have some degree of depression or anxiety about things, because as you're going along, you're thinking, well, I'm going to turn another corner and then something else is going to happen to me. And I know kind of what my life expectancy is with these things. And that's going to create a certain sense of anxiety and grief and depression with someone. And that's what they approved him on. But they say, but we will continue to review the physical disability and the medical records. We're going to request further medical records to see if he's eligible beyond the 24-month period.
Why is it a potential? You started the interview by saying it was a partial victory, and so I'm assuming you're relating that to what's known as a 24-month mental nervous limitation. Talk about what that is and how that could apply in this particular claim.
Well, when you have typically most group disability policies, you're going to find that for mental health related or psychological conditions, they limit your benefit recovery for 24 months. So after that point, you have to remain disabled from a physical disability in order to continue receiving those disability benefits. So in his particular case, and also usually you have to be disabled from any gainful occupation after 24 months as well. That's very common with these group disability policies. But in his case, I mean, we have a very strong physical medical history. Right. So I'm feeling very confident we'll be able to get through that. It's just that, I see it as a partial victory because we're getting him paid, and that's certainly really important. And I feel confident we'll be able to get over the hump here at the 24-month mark, which will be coming up in a few months.
Yeah, but it's just pathetic from Prudential to say, just accept the fact that the person's disabled, he has all of these physical conditions, and instead what they wanted to do was leave the door open to say, at 24 months, we'll deny you again because we think it's mental, not physical.
I see it as kind of a maliciousness or a laziness or a cowardice that they will refuse to kind of go against these medical consultants that they hire and can't think outside of this box. They just go with whatever these hired guns and hacks say. Well, even though this lengthy physical medical history, even though there's all this well-documented proof that he's got limitations from these physical diseases and disorders, which many are very, very rare and extremely serious, we don't see that there's any reason he shouldn't be working in a job or in some occupation.
But that's the way Prudential's been for at least the past 10 years. It doesn't matter. It's almost like the claim reps have no authority on their own whatsoever. The bottom line is they're trained. You send it out to whoever it is or hire whoever it is to review the file, and whatever they say, you will adopt it. No questions asked. And so they have no authority, no power, no self-pride. This is the job. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Right.
And this is a prime example of this case because the evidence was overwhelming. They hired some hack, like you said, occupational medicine doctor who disagreed, and they said, okay, we're going to agree. And then until you went to the next steps, they found somebody who didn't agree.
Right.
Who was an outside
doctor. And I know
doctor.
that they can, go against these doctors because I've seen it done. It's not common because, they always tend to just, go with their doctor's opinions. But I've seen it done, and I think it's admirable for a company that looks at a medical review that's done by their doctor and finds that there's a problem with it, and then comes back and tells you and admits that, look, we don't really agree with what our medical consultant's saying here. We think that there is a degree of limitation. and we're going to approve the claim despite what our doctor's saying.
Right.
So.
Well, I think it was a great victory, and it was also notable that this claimant tried to do the appeal on his own the first time and wasn't successful. He got lucky that he was able to get you to be able to do that, because a lot of companies only allow for one appeal. And had he not had another appeal, the record would have been sealed, and all of that great additional evidence that you were able to help obtain and all the arguments that you made would have never been in the record. So, someone has to weigh the situation of doing an appeal on their own, which they certainly can, but understand that if they do an appeal on their own, they're married to that record. And then when they hire our law firm to help them with the lawsuit, we can't change anything. We can only go with that evidence. So that's a reason why someone should really, really have a lawyer help them with the appeal, even though they have to get a lawyer for the lawsuit. But the appeal is really, that is your trial, because nothing can come in later on. And we have a lot of other videos where we talk about what happens in a disability lawsuit, especially specific to Prudential, which people can look up and watch that to learn about why, what happens in a trial and what should be in an appeal versus what can come in a lawsuit. So I recommend people look out to that video. But the best thing is for someone watching this video is to reach out to you, myself, any of our lawyers, request a free initial consultation, and what we'll do is right away review your denial letter and get on the phone with you. In a matter of 15, 20 minutes, we'll let you know what we think are strategies for you, if we think you have a good case that can be won, how we're going to charge you, and basically answer all of your questions. So no matter where you live in the country, we look forward to the opportunity to help you and discuss your claim with you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process. And when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search. Plus, we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.